programs, but a lot of people don't realise that they are being mind controlled by the media. And I think you would contend that every person is a victim of mind control.
I think to a degree, absolutely, everybody is, yes.
Right.
I mean, very basic things like if we think about brand identity of products, every time you buy a product, you buy a branded product, it's because there is a sort of constructed ideology and an image around that product, and basically you feel that that represents you. You feel that if you buy these products, you know, they are sort of a part of your personality. They represent what you do, and you know, everybody's guilty of this. I like everybody else have constructed an image, you know. But this is the thing, it is.
My brand would be all of the charity shops and concert.
Well, there you go. But you know, again, well, even with that, you know, you're the person that rejects brand identity. So therefore, you're defining oneself by
the fact that I'm rejecting it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I am mind controlled.
Sadly. But, you know, I mean, this is the thing, at least nobody's fault, because basically this, thousands and thousands and millions of pounds have gone into doing this. Adverts attack people at a subliminal level. You know, they play on people's herd instincts. When you buy into a brand identity like iPhone, say, for example, look at the recent cult of iPhone. You're buying into a larger concept, you're buying into the ideology, and you're basically buying a piece of that dream. I think it becomes dangerous when basically people start to associate this far too much with themselves, and you get shells of people covered in talismans, essentially. And it was, again,
talismans?
Well, talismans that representational symbols of who they are. You know, I'm this because I wear these trainers, I wear this watch, I wear this, I have this hairstyle. It defines you, and that, again, that's perfectly fine, so long as you realise that these aren't the authentic you. These are merely stickers, essentially. You know, these are things that are put there to garnish you, and again, it can be perfectly healthy, but unfortunately, a lot of the time people they try and fill the hole in their psyche with products. They feel that basically if I buy this product I will feel happy. If I move to this, if I keep it with the Joneses and live the dream, then essentially I will be a happier person for it. And the problem is that that's not always the case. I mean, the key to sales is to convince somebody that you're doing them a favour. Okay, these companies, they might have a brand identity, but they're ultimately multinational companies in the business of making money.
Right, so adverts are about creating a need in someone that perhaps wasn't there previously.
Oh, well, that's exactly what they're there to do. You know, on a very basic level, if you required that product, you wouldn't need me to sell it to you, would you? You know, you've got to be convinced of it. But, you know, people don't realise that the adverts, they hit you at a subconscious level. They're specifically designed to hit you. You know, jingles will stay in your head, phrases will stay in your head, and you will use these over and over again because they are hitting you at a subconscious level. They use things like bright, vibrant colours in fast food restaurants because it excites you and it makes you want to get in there and get out. And in sort of posh restaurants, you'll have sort of earthier pastel colours and something to calm you down and keep you there for a long time spending money.
Okay, so I mean, I thought it was very clever of the marketers to, you know, we used to have shampoo, and then somebody invented this stuff called conditioner, right? And so they could sell people 2 bottles of shampoo instead of just one.
Well, it's vital. I mean, if it wasn't, why would they be selling to us?
I use a bar
What
of
would they
soap.
have to gain?
Yeah, and so, okay, so they're creating these needs, but you would contend that some of these messages are completely subliminal.
Absolutely.
We're totally unaware of them?
Well, the thing about television, for example, is that when you watch television, you relax and you go into what's called an alpha state brainwave. Now, this is exactly what you do when you're inducting someone into hypnosis. You slow down their brainwaves, and you talk directly to the subconscious. And this is like, for example, if you're driving along in a car and all of a sudden you realise, oh, where am I? I've reached my destination. It's because you've gone into your learned subconscious mode and you're just going on autopilot.
Kind of a bit of a daydream sort of
Exactly
state.
like a daydream. That's exactly the same thing. It's basically a slowing of brain waves to a point where you become inducted. And this happens when you're watching television. You're at an alpha state, which means that basically when you're watching television, it's like a one-way conversation, and your subconscious, which is constantly learning, taking in, and doesn't criticize in any way, is just being impacted by all of these things.
Right.
And there's no way to escape it.
Right. So How are they affecting your brain if you have no conscious memory of it then?
Well, this is exactly how you would implant hypnotic suggestion in hypnosis. You get somebody to the state where their brain is receptive, a trance state, and then you can talk directly to the subconscious, and any of these suggestions become learnt behaviour.
Right, right. And, you know, obviously sex is used a lot in advertisements, isn't it?
I mean, they tend to tap into things of Jungian archetypes, and Carl Jung, obviously a famous psychologist, felt that we have a shared collective unconscious, and that certain symbols, you know, are taken in and decoded automatically by people, and because of that, they will use that, and often in ways that we don't understand. Sex is obviously used because it implies that, you know, this product will make me sexually attracted to people, or this product might make me, I'm driving this car, I might get the girl that's on the bonnet, you know, that sort of thing. But also they'll show things like babies to appeal to a maternal instinct. And I don't know whether you've ever noticed any sort of hand cream, face cream, beauty products.
Right.
The adverts will have the woman holding the pot like this, usually headless, holding the pot like this.
Yes.
And this is basically to represent the uterine shape and to appeal at a subconscious Jungian level. It implies that if you buy this product, you'll be fertile, you'll be the sort of person that can reproduce, and, you know, again, that's basically hitting primordial instincts, so that, you know, we wish to be that person.
And what about sort of television programs themselves, rather than just the commercials then? I mean, are they programming us?
I think to an extent, certainly. I think what happens, I wouldn't go so far as to say, a lot of people would say, like, if you watch a violent film, you'll go out and act it out like in sort of child's play sort of scenario. I wouldn't buy that for a second. I don't think it's as simple as monkey see, monkey do. What I do feel is that basically films and television, they tend to manufacture a consent. They tell you what is right, what is wrong, what is the expected response to things, how to deal with things. And a couple of examples of that is, if you think about, talk to any teenager and ask them to describe someone being shot, and what they would do, they would describe the movie representation of, you know, slow motion action shot, you know, all this, and that's not a real representation. So what we're seeing is a codified representation of reality that we know how to decode, and is presented to us as reality. And another example of that is the sound that frogs make. If you ask anybody all over the world what sound do frogs make, they'll say ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. And they don't. There's innumerable different types. Basically, that comes from the fact that Hollywood had one type of frog sample, which was taken from the California frog, and then it was then used over and over again in different things. So basically, it becomes absorbed into the cultural lexicon that this is a fact, this is real, and this is the way that it works.
Well, right, if we come on to films then, Neil. Obviously, films were used during the wars with propaganda to get people, you know, to be more motivated, etc. But are people using films now to change public perception? Would you say?
Yeah, I definitely would say so. I mean, we can look at films like we were talking about earlier, The Men Who Stare at Goats and things like that. These are pure disinformation films.
So why would The Men Who Stare at Goats be, you would say it was disinformation?
Well, I mean, you can use it. Films provide a sort of cultural reference for either preparedness or for, you know, dismissing. If, for example, if I was to say, oh, I was out the other day and I saw this brown alien running through the woods, this boy captured it, helped it, took it back to his house, and 3 days later the government turned up, you'd say, Neil, you're thinking of that film E.T. This isn't real, this is a film. And it's similar to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. If you start talking about mind control, people will start talking about, oh, that's that film The Manchurian Candidate, or that's that film Conspiracy Theory. And it allows for an easy forum for dismissal. What do you
call it? Plausible denial?
Plausible deniability, I suppose, is the other thing.
I noticed, I started writing a blog for the sci-fi website, you know, the sci-fi channel.
Yeah.
And I found that I would write about various extraterrestrial stories. I wrote an article about the Lloyd Pye skull, you know, the Star Child skull.
Yeah.
And honestly, the worst sort of offensive attack I've ever had on any forum was from the sci-fi